TSA, how you are loathed by the public. Do you deserve the hate? Is it really so important for us to take off our shoes we spent 3 seconds slipping on? Is liquid foundation really a bomb threat? Do you feel like you have power? Do you have power? We shall see, TSA. We shall see. The TSA was created when the Aviation and Transportation Security Act was passed by Congress in November of 2001 as a response to the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center. The bill was sponsored by Don Young and Ernest Hulling. Young, a rep from Alaska, once blamed the high suicide rates in his state on government handouts, and Hollings, a senator from South Carolina, was once heard responding to Japanese criticisms of American laziness by saying, "You should draw a mushroom cloud and put underneath it, made in America by lazy and illiterate Americans and tested in Japan." All I'm saying is that this act wasn't necessarily sponsored by America's best and brightest. With the whole threat of terror hanging over the US government, they were pretty hasty when assembling their team. They screened over 1.7 million applicants for the 55,000 available positions in under a year. Generally speaking, quality takes time. That's all I'm saying. In fact, it cost over $6.8 billion to fund the TSA during its first year, as staff levels rose from an estimated 30,000 to 70,000 plus employees. Now there's around 45,000 TSA screeners, and they make about 41,000 per year. Just in case you're wondering. Did you know that the TSA is actually in charge of security for all transportation, not just airplanes? Highways, railroads, buses, ports, and yet the aviation security accounts for roughly 70% of their annual budget, which is over $7 billion. And federal air marshals account for another 13%, leaving only 17% for the security of everything else. Now, did I mention that TSA security officers, or TSOs, aren't law officers? They don't carry weapons, and they can't arrest you. They have the local police on speed dial, but they themselves can't actually do anything to you, except maybe grab your dick in the name of Homeland Security. But we'll get to that in a minute. Actually, the TSA unveiled new badges for their TSOs in 2008, and they look pretty close to real police badges. So close, in fact, that airport police officers got upset, complaining that they devalued their job as, you know, real police officers. Now, TSOs are only there to find dangerous objects. They aren't looking for your weed or your stolen Lego sets.
Okay, so your liquids are actually fun.
They just want those daggers and live rounds people have in their backpacks.
Hey, Bob, didn't you once get busted for having a live round on a plane?
Yes, I did. I was going to film a short film, and I brought a baggie of what I thought were empty shells to use as props for the short film, and it turned out I brought a bullet. I brought a bullet onto the plane.
Did you make it onto the plane?
Eventually. TSA agents are just people and not police officers. I repeat, not police officers. That means they have the same faults as the rest of us, and statistically, it means some of them are thieves. Now, the biggest issue with that is that the TSA doesn't report any baggage theft to local police as a policy. So if you just landed at LAX and your entire suitcase is missing, the LAPD can't do anything to help you. Only the TSA can. You know, the people who most likely stole your shit in the first place. In fact, 25,016 thefts were reported to the TSA between 2010 and 2014, and around 500 TSA screeners have been fired/suspended for theft since 2001. Either each of these employees stole 50 plus items, or there are still quite a few guilty screeners patting down unwittingly hot 20-somethings. Now, to be fair, the TSA does get routinely tested on its ability to stop dangerous items, you know, guns, bombs, that sort of thing. Who performs these tests? The TSA, of course, and it's against TSA policy for them to release those results. Considering the TSA is supposed to exist to make us safer, you'd think we'd be allowed to keep an eye on their progress, right? It's kind of like if your kid's first grade teacher refused to share any of their grades with you, and it turns out at the end of the year, the kid failed. But they don't tell you that either. So the kid just keeps repeating the grade over and over again until you have this 6'2" first grader that you thought was headed off to college. Sorry, your kid is so dumb, by the way. Now, to make sure the TSA is doing their job, other regulating bodies can send in undercover operatives to see what they'll detect. When Homeland Security did that in 2015, undercover investigators managed to get banned items through checkpoints in 95% of their attempts, or 67 out of 70 attempts nationwide. The results were so bad that the administrator of the TSA was reassigned, aka he got fired. Unfortunately, more than just the higher-ups suffer from a lack of consistency. 36 screeners at the Honolulu airport were let go in 2011. Why, you ask? Well, for regularly not checking bags. Thing is, isn't Hawaii supposed to be all chill and super go with the flow, dude? Doesn't that just complete the Hawaiian experience? Kinda sucks to fire people just for upholding their touristic identity. Oh, and it's been revealed that TSA officials worked with a private firm at the San Fran airport to give the TSOs a heads up when they were about to be tested by undercover passengers. And no one was fired when that news came out. That'll teach 'em. May of 2012, also known as 10 years after 9/11, was the month that the DHS admitted that the TSA still didn't have a complete understanding of security breaches and that some airports were doing little to nothing to prevent them. Did I mention that private screening is an acceptable alternative for airports? They can hire independent screening companies as long as that company has been approved by the TSA, and the TSA just doesn't touch that airport. How important is your government service if it can be replaced by rent-a-cops? $7 billion important? I think not. Now, let's move on to some policy, shall we? Before 2006, you were allowed to bring water bottles onto planes. That all changed after the 2006 transatlantic aircraft plot was discovered by British intelligence. In case you're unaware, the plot was as follows. Supposed terrorists were supposedly going to bring bombs disguised as soft drinks onto these supposed target planes. But none of that ever happened. The transatlantic aircraft plot was just that, a plot. One that the British determined after extensive surveillance. Out of the 24 initial arrested suspects, 9 men were tried in total, 2 were acquitted, and 7 were found guilty of conspiracy to charges. But no one built a bomb, no one boarded a plane, no one tried to blow up a soft drink. Maybe it was all a conspiracy by the manufacturers of travel-sized products. As of October 2010, inspired by another bomb plot, you aren't allowed to bring ink cartridges over 16 ounces onto planes in either checked or carry-on luggage. This is a sin because who the actual fuck is affected by this? Do you often find yourself carrying large ink cartridges in your carry-on? If yes, please detail your reasons in the comments. I'd really love to know. In 2013, it was revealed that the TSA had secretly started new pat-down procedures that included reaching into bras and pants. And the TSOs only tell the people they're about to reach in when they're about to reach in. There have been multiple lawsuits over violating the 4th Amendment, the right to unreasonable search and seizure, and from some passengers feeling they were sexually assaulted. And concerns have been raised over the trauma the enhanced pat-downs put sexual assault survivors through. Some government officials have been victims of the system as well. Did you know that in 2002, Democratic House Representative John Dingell was required to take off his pants after his hip replacement set off metal detectors? His name's John Dingell. You can't write this shit. But, as is expected, many government officials actually avoid the stress altogether. Any congressional leaders who are assigned a security detail don't have to go through airport checkpoints. There you go, kids. All you have to do to avoid the TSA pat-downs is become a Senate minority leader. Oh, or you can choose to go through one of the full-body scanners, because that's an option. There are 2 kinds of scanners that the TSA uses, X-ray backscatter and millimeter wave scanners. They're both often referred to as naked scanners, and they kind of are. The TSA says the machines don't have the ability to store, print, or save images, and that everything is deleted from the system after the officer clears it. Except after multiple images leaked, it was made very clear that the machines can indeed save images. But most terminals just have that function turned off. Kind of like how those nudes you sent over Snapchat can't be saved, unless someone screenshots them. Karen. Some people are also concerned about the health safety of using X-ray backscatters. While scientists argue the machines are safe, it's kinda hard to prove it's not risky to have repeated low radiation exposure over time. Thing is, TSA started allowing passengers to apply for a TSA PreCheck. For $100, you can apply and most likely become a trusted traveler, meaning you don't have to take your shoes and light jackets off. If all you have to do to prove your innocence is fill out an online application, please explain to me why any of this is necessary. In March of 2017, the TSA decided that if you're flying out of 10 specific airports in Muslim-majority countries, you can't bring an electronic device any larger than a smartphone. You heard that right. It's based off of nothing but the fact that the airports are located in Muslim-majority countries. That's gotta be violating some kind of civil rights, right? Please tell me it is. Come on. You'll notice that almost all of the restrictions put out there by the TSA have been in response response to attacks or threats. All the new restrictions do is make it less likely that the same kind of attacks will happen again. They do nothing to prevent new forms of terrorism. The TSA is a reactive form of security, not a proactive one. And finally, the worst part of all, the TSA has never been proven to be effective at stopping terrorism. In fact, it's only been proven to create a false sense of safety, which might be far worse than the alternative. If people feel safe, they are far less likely to question the methods with which this safety was achieved. All that's happening here is a potential violation of rights. Oh, and also probably an upward trend in travel size product stock.